Welcome to LeVy Stories, where real-life stories come to life. If you're fascinated by true, emotional, and surprising stories, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Your support motivates me to keep sharing these unforgettable stories with you. Now, let's dive into today's story. There are instances in life that awaken something deep within you, altering your very essence. Events sneak in silently, nearly imperceptible, depriving you of their unfolding until they transcend your control. I never imagined I would find myself stepping over that boundary. Never again. I could never have imagined such a thing. Vows bound me together as a partner. She was a woman who embodied both nurturing qualities and complexity. She was a woman who fulfilled the expectations placed upon her. Yet, existence has a haunting manner of revealing the fissures you were blissfully unaware of. And in those moments when solitude wraps around you like a heavy shroud, when the stillness of your surroundings feels like a prison, you begin to yearn for breath, for connection, for anything that stirs the pulse of your existence. 2 years have passed since that fateful day. It has been 2 years since the world shifted beneath my feet. Even now, the feeling persists within me. The sensation lingers within me. My hands trembled with desire. The intensity of my heartbeat surged, a wild rhythm that felt as if it might burst forth from my very being. The instant my breath tightened in my throat, I realized I had stepped over a boundary I could never return to. I longed to share with you a tale that unfolds with clarity and ease. It was merely a fleeting lapse in strength. Overwhelming longing ignited an impulsive choice. Yet, the path is far from straightforward. Indeed, this tale weaves a tapestry of intricate emotions and hidden longings. Because of this, it was always meant to remain unspoken. You believe you have a grasp on your true self. You think you have a solid understanding of the limits of your own conscience. However, a carefully crafted allure can quickly unravel the foundation of your beliefs. And that's the journey I found myself on. Before I unveil the depths of this tale, before I draw you into its embrace as it ensnared me, there's a crucial truth you must grasp. This wasn't something I sought. It wasn't a sudden choice that led me down this path of chaos. It began with a whisper of longing, innocent. There was an undeniable thrill to something that felt so innocent. But what is the essence of longing? It always appears harmless until the passing of time ensnares the heart. And now, I must bear the weight of what has unfolded. The present is a tale I never envisioned sharing. Yet, it is the undeniable reality. It is the essence of my being. And when I finish, you'll grasp the depth of why certain choices linger, haunting us with their irreversible nature. Please ensure that you have subscribed if you are interested in unfiltered, authentic, and shocking stories of betrayal before I proceed. Activate alerts. Believe me, this is an experience that will linger in your heart and mind. My life appears to be flawless from the outside, as if I have everything. My life is a captivating sanctuary, tucked away in a serene enclave. The husband has achieved great success. 2 extraordinary souls. Their lives appeared to be perfect. Yet, therein lies the truth about facades. They deceive. My husband, Michael, embodied everything a woman could ever desire. Intense, steadfast. He was a devoted caretaker of the heart. He was the kind of man who always remembered to settle the debts of the heart. He consistently showed up at every event. His mind meticulously crafted every detail. Yet, in the midst of our shared moments, he gradually became blind to my presence. I can't pinpoint the moment it all began. Perhaps it was once the children arrived, when our existence shifted to revolve around routines and obligations, leaving behind the magic of whispered secrets and fleeting touches. Perhaps it was during this moment that his career soared, as his thoughts became entangled in figures and timelines, overshadowing the tender whispers and gentle caresses that once filled his heart. Perhaps it unfolded gradually, so subtly that we were oblivious, until that fateful morning when we found ourselves side by side, only to discover that we had transformed into mere strangers. We were the kind of couple that captured moments together at family gatherings, each snapshot a reminder of the unspoken yearnings that lingered beneath the surface. That whispered declaration of love lingered in the air. A sacred ritual shared before the night embraced us. Words linger in the stillness of our shared space, heavy with unspoken longing. He was never unkind, always gentle. However, he remained elusive. Even in the comfort of his space, his thoughts wandered to places they shouldn't, igniting a longing that felt both thrilling and dangerous. His thoughts wandered within the confines of his emails. He was trapped within the confines of his device. The shadows persist where passion once flourished. And what about me? I faded into the background. I would be captivated by the sound of his breath as I lay awake at night. The rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall resonates, each second a reminder of the unspoken yearnings that linger in the air. The chill of the sheets enveloped us, a profound silence that seemed unbreakable, prompting me to question whether I could ever penetrate its depths. There were moments when I felt an undeniable pull, a longing that urged me to lean closer, to bridge the distance, yet I always hesitated, held back by an invisible force. What was the purpose of it all? He had ventured into depths unknown, lost in the shadows of longing. The dawn brought with it an unbearable heaviness. Each morning, I would rise with the dawn, preparing breakfast and laying the table, clinging to the fragile hope that today might unfold in a way that defied the ordinary. I longed for someone to look up at me. It was comforting to know that someone was genuinely observing me, yet it remained an unchanging truth, a moment suspended in time. My husband lost in the glow of his phone, the steam of his coffee swirling around us. My daughter, who was blissfully unaware of the solitude that enveloped me, animatedly discussed her favorite cartoons. Leon, my beloved son, was also present, silent, perceptive. He was the only one who seemed to truly understand my essence. Leon found himself at the tender age of 16, in that tender moment when boys begin to drift from their mothers, creating a chasm of distance, lost in their own thoughts, oblivious to the warmth of the bond that once held them close. Yet, he was different. He continued to reach out to me. His laughter continued to envelop my words, reigniting a buried flame within me. He still observed the subtle nuances. It was as if exhaustion wrapped around me, a heavy shroud that dulled my senses. How I masked my true feelings with a smile as he brushed by, oblivious to my presence. How I stood at the kitchen sink, time slipping away, my mind adrift in a sea of unspoken yearnings, captivated by the weight of my own reflections. At times, he would utter words, subtle yet profound, that would cause me to linger in thought. Are you all right? Mom, your mood feels a bit heavy these days. There's no need for masks between us, if you know what I mean. Yet, I would consistently dismiss it. What words could possibly capture this feeling? I felt a deep emptiness within me. Was I truly suffocating in a life I had willingly embraced? Did my union seem more like a transactional agreement than a story of passion? There were moments when I would go through whole days longing for the warmth of another's touch, feeling the ache of that absence deep within me. Words eluded me in that moment. A smile crept across my face. I assured him that everything was okay. I pressed on, driven by an undeniable force within me. That's the journey you take when you accept the role of a wife. She is a woman who embodies nurturing and strength. Promises bind a woman deeply in her heart. Still, there were brief events that seemed unimportant at the time, but had a lot of weight behind them. That held no significance. Still, their presence lingered in my heart. They exchanged a momentary gaze over the dinner table, charged with unspoken longing. His touch held a breath of longing, lingering just a heartbeat too long as he passed me the plate. His gaze softened upon hearing my laughter. As though my happiness was a precious gem, he yearned to relive once more. They were fleeting instances I ought to have overlooked. Memories linger, aching to be unearthed. There were moments when they appeared inconsequential, yet, in the depths of longing, even the faintest flicker of hope can ignite a fire within the soul. An ordinary day took an unexpected turn, stirring long-buried feelings and igniting a spark that should have remained hidden. A simple family outing to the beach sparks a longing beneath the surface, awakening feelings that remain unsaid. Everything feels ordinary, everything feels the same. This is the type of day that evokes recollections of a period when everything seemed vibrant and unbound, prior to the weight of the world tearing us apart. The spark subsided into the ordinary. Michael had mentioned it, perhaps driven by a sense of duty rather than genuine interest. His work consumed him perpetually. He was perpetually lost in the depths of his thoughts. Yet, occasionally, he would find himself slipping back into the guise of the devoted family man. In anticipation of the unknown, we packed the car with snacks, towels, and sunscreen, eager to experience the excitement. The sun hung in the sky, casting a warm glow that stirred something deep within. The sky stretched above, a canvas of clarity, inviting whispers of longing and unspoken truths. The day enveloped you with a warm embrace, allowing you to momentarily immerse yourself in the joy of possibilities, erasing the emptiness lurking beneath the surface. Leon was the one who occupied the seat beside me in the car, a presence that stirred something deep within. My daughter was captivated by the gentle melody of a song that was playing on the radio. Her laughter laughter emanating from the back seat. "Is that you, Michael?" He was seated behind the wheel, with one hand firmly grasping the steering wheel and the other lost in a sea of emails. Torn between reality and a distant yearning, Leon felt a stirring within him that day, a warmth that hinted at something deeper, something he had long buried yet could not ignore. Whimsical, he was his usual quiet self, yet there was an undeniable shift, a stirring beneath the surface that hinted at something deeper, something unspoken and intense, brighter. Perhaps it was the warmth of the sun, the whisper of the ocean breeze, or simply one of those fleeting moments when everything seemed to align perfectly. He was teasing me about my questionable choice in sunglasses, and a spark of something unspoken lingered between us as he playfully nudged me. I discovered that I was laughing, a genuine, heartfelt laugh, and it was an unusually beautiful sensation, that fleeting moment. Since joy had erupted within me in such a pure, unrestrained manner, it seemed to have been an eternity. As we arrived at the beach, a sense of effortless freedom enveloped us. The children dashed forward, the warmth of the sand enveloping our feet, while the waves surged in, erasing all traces of the past. I finally sensed my presence in the world again after what felt like an eternity. I experienced a profound connection. This bond transcends all boundaries. Even Michael, lost in his world, occasionally surrendered to the moment, allowing himself to simply exist in that space. And then, a fleeting moment unfolded. Hold on for a moment. It was a fleeting moment that should have vanished into oblivion as soon as it happened. As I sat on the warm sand, the sun enveloped me in its embrace. My fingers danced through the grains, lost in a reverie of longing. A moment of pure joy that felt both exhilarating and forbidden was experienced by Leon as he found himself immersed in the water, laughter bubbling up as he playfully splashed around with his sister. In an electrifying moment, he moved towards me as I sat, sparking an unspoken connection between us. He reclined next to me, his skin glistening with saltwater droplets and strands of hair cascading down his shoulders. He reclined on the towel, his arms resting behind his head. He inhaled deeply, a feeling of tranquility enveloping him. At that precise moment, his fingers touched mine, igniting a spark that was simultaneously thrilling and perilous. It was merely a fleeting moment, a whisper of something deeper, something that stirred the soul in ways unspoken. Despite being a simple act, it carries the weight of unspoken longing. His fingers touched my skin, causing a spark to ignite as he approached to grasp something that was just out of reach. However, it was the way it unfolded that captured my attention. The way his touch lingered, a heartbeat stretched into eternity. A fleeting moment that evoked a profound emotion within me was the subtle catch in my breath. He hesitated for a moment, defying expectations. It was a fleeting moment, a whisper of something deeper, something that stirred the heart in ways unspoken. However, there is a subtle essence that permeates deep within, a persistent presence that waits patiently. I persuaded myself that it was merely a product of my imagination. The intensity of the heat, the relentless sun, and the weight of exhaustion were conjuring visions that danced just beyond reality. But then he gazed into my eyes. The moment was brief, lasting only a moment. Unspoken feelings lingered in the air between us for a fleeting moment, something unspoken. The silence carries a lingering longing. Deep within me, a sensation stirred, causing my heart to race with an intensity that felt both thrilling and unsettling. And then it vanished into the ether. In an instant, everything changed. He chuckled in response to a remark made by his sister, averted his gaze, and grasped his water bottle, and I found myself there, gazing at my hands, struggling to dispel the sensation, the warmth that had nothing to do with the sun. No, that was merely a whisper in the darkness. My mind is racing with ideas. Isn't it true? That was the intended conclusion. The beach moment should have been inconsequential. It ought to have faded, dissolved into the ether like whispers carried off by the wind, erased by the relentless waves. Yet, it remained untouched. I cherished it deeply. The caress was fleeting. It is that fleeting gaze that leaves a lasting impression. The sensation stirs the soul. I carried it back with me, concealing it in the obscure corners of my mind. Yet it would not remain hidden. It hung in the air, a palpable tension that refused to fade. It lingered in the shadows, haunting my every thought. It called to me in the silence of my solitude, and I loathed myself for it. What made this sensation so unique? What is it about this feeling that lingers so deeply within me? Was it merely loneliness that drove me? Was my heart deceiving me? Or was there a spark, something genuine, something perilous lurking beneath the surface? I convinced myself it meant nothing whatsoever. I compelled myself to embrace the illusion. Yet, I began to perceive the subtle nuances around me. Leon had always shielded me with a fierce devotion, ever the keen observer. You sensed my fatigue, my sorrow, and the subtle shifts that hinted at my inner turmoil. Yet, in this moment, everything seemed transformed. His gaze lingered on me during dinner, in the car, as I drifted into my world. It's not visible to the naked eye. It is done in a manner so subtle that it would escape the gaze of others. Yet, I became aware it was the manner in which his gaze retained mine, elongating the moment into an electric and unspoken experience. His gaze softened in response to my laughter. Then there were the subtle nuances. His presence lingered, an intoxicating closeness that stirred something deep within. A spark was ignited within me when his hand briefly touched mine as we crossed paths in the hallway. It was simply a product of my imagination. Yet, amidst it all, the dreams lingered. I was bewildered by the unfamiliar warmth that emanated from my skin, and my body trembled as I gasped upon opening my eyes. It was merely a fleeting vision, I reassured myself. Dreams hold no significance. Yet this one resonated with an undeniable intensity. A gentle touch ignites long-forgotten memories. A gentle whisper caresses my skin. The sensation is one of longing, of recognition, and of transcending the shadows of obscurity. I sat up in bed, my heart racing and my throat parched, and my body thumping with an unnamed longing that resonated deeply within me. I gazed at Michael, his back facing me, his breath a gentle rhythm in the stillness of slumber. In that fleeting instant, a wave of resentment washed over me, consuming my thoughts. I loathed him for igniting these feelings within me, for awakening a longing within me that defies all boundaries. I shut my eyes, attempting to cast it aside. Yet the dream lingered, wrapping around me like a haunting whisper, an intoxicating echo of something I dared not fully embrace. The sensation of his hands lingered in my memory. My body had begun to awaken. I had eagerly anticipated it. I couldn't allow such an experience to unfold. I found it impossible to allow my thoughts to wander into that realm. However, the more I tried to separate myself from it, the stronger its attachment to my core. Each glance from Leon stirred something deep within me. With each smile he offered, a rush of unspoken feelings surged within me. Each time his fingers grazed my skin, a spark ignited within me. Despite my efforts, I couldn't extinguish the flame that ignited within me. This moment was everything. It was transforming into something profound, and I found myself powerless to halt its course. I could have put an end to it. Whatever this was, this change, this undeniable connection blossoming between us, I should have stopped it before it had the opportunity to take shape. But what was the truth? I found myself drawn to it, despite my better judgment. It began as a whisper, a gentle stir within the heart, subtle nuances. If my will was strong enough, I could effortlessly push those moments into the background, brush them aside, and overlook them. A hug clung to the instant, elongating time in a manner that simultaneously evoked exhilaration and peril. Subtle, yet profound, it lingered in the air between us, a silent truth neither of us dared to confront, but it stirred something deep within me. Just a moment, and my breath falters, my heart skips, and my skin lingers in the memory of his warmth. Even after he has stepped back, then there were nights filled with longing. Michael toiled into the night, lost in a whirlwind of endless meetings and justifications, each hour stretching into the next, a relentless cycle that consumed him. The house would be enveloped in silence, the children tucked away in their rooms, yet Leon and I would inevitably gravitate toward the kitchen together, drawn by an unspoken connection. He reached for a glass of water, a straightforward action that elicited a profound response. I stood there, concealing the excitement that was coursing through me, eagerly anticipating the moment when he would finally enter the room. The whisper began, a fleeting moment that held the promise of something deeper. Whispers in the dark, where secrets intertwine and longing lingers. The air is filled with the whispers of fleeting encounters. While they are seated opposite each other at the table, the warm glow of the stove light dances, casting shadows that whisper secrets against the walls. They engage in conversations that dance around the edges of longing and unspoken truths. I found myself in the depths of school, in the labyrinth of life, amidst the swirling thoughts he held and the turbulent emotions I went through. And then, one fateful night, everything shifted. shifted. It's unclear how we arrived at that moment, what whispers guided us into the depths of our connection. But in an instant, I found myself sharing secrets I'd kept hidden for so long. I experienced a profound sense of solitude. I felt as though I had been lost to time. There were moments when I gazed into the mirror, and the reflection staring back felt like a stranger, lost in the depths of my longing. And he heard every unspoken word, truly heard. Michael, on the other hand, appeared to be only partially engaged, giving nods when necessary, but never genuinely taking in my words. No, Leon's intense gaze made my heart race, as if every word I spoke carried an immense weight. It was as if my presence was genuine. And then, his words pierced through the layers of my heart, leaving me trembling with a mix of longing and fear. He remains oblivious to your presence, doesn't he? An electric tension lingered in the space we shared, transforming everything that followed. Closer, awakening. It felt as though we had stepped beyond a boundary, a threshold that bound us in a way we could never escape. He was unquestionably right. Michael remained oblivious, yet Leon's gaze pierced through the veil of secrecy, and that awareness sat in my heart, simultaneously comforting and perilous. Encircling my ribs like a secret I was hesitant to disclose, I convinced myself it was purely innocent. He was simply demonstrating empathy. This, in whatever form it took, was just the result of years spent alone, longing for a connection that was always just out of reach. It was never about him. It was never about my desires. It was merely the situation that led us there. I was deeply moved by a yearning for a connection, and nothing more. He's the sole soul who truly hears me. The truth is everything, isn't it true? Yet, there were those instances that defied all reason. His hand briefly touched mine as he passed me in the kitchen, igniting a spark that persisted in the air. During our conversations, his presence hovered just a breath away. His presence enveloped the space between us, a palpable force that stirred something deep within. The truth was irresistible. Each time he whispered my name, my breath caught. He whispered only my name. It was as if it were a treasure to be cherished. And then, the dinner table became a stage for unspoken yearnings. That night, Michael found himself enveloped in a bittersweet solitude. It was an extraordinary moment. Gathered around the table, an unspoken tension permeated the air, entangling each of us in a web of longing and unfulfilled dreams. Silverware delicately danced against plates, creating a melody of unsaid longing. My daughter is sharing the secrets of her day. Michael was only partially engaged, lost in a whirlwind of thoughts and feelings that pulled at his heart. His phone hovered at his fingertips, a constant reminder of the unspoken longing stirring within him. It felt like an ordinary moment, unremarkable. Yet, none of it truly captured my focus. I found myself acutely aware of a singular truth. There was only one undeniable presence. There is only one soul. Leon was sitting beside me, an electric tension hanging in the air between us. Near, so near, I felt it stirring within me, concealed from the world in that secret space. His touch ignited a spark within me, awakening feelings I thought were long buried. His fingers probed the depths of desire, yearning. I feel a gentle sensation grazing my skin, embracing, longing. I should have stepped back. I ought to have brought it to a close. Yet, I chose not to. I surrendered to the moment. I allowed the moment to linger, savoring its intensity. I allowed the moment to linger too long, longer than it should have, and with it came a wave of guilt I couldn't escape. The gentle, lingering touch of his fingers as they encircled mine sparked a glimmer of yearning within me. There is a hidden truth to uncover, a transgression. This was a boundary I should never have ventured to cross. And then, I held on tighter. Some nights hold the power to transform everything. Evenings that start with the familiar rhythm of routine can culminate in a moment so charged with intensity that it shatters the boundaries of what was once deemed acceptable. It was a night filled with unspoken longings and the thrill of what should not be. The tempest approached with a haunting grace. It lingers in the shadows, unexpected and intense. Soft echoes of longing linger in the air. The intoxicating aroma of impending rain hangs heavily, a tantalizing promise before the first drop dares to kiss the earth. As darkness enveloped the world, the sky transformed into a deep abyss, heavy with unspoken yearnings. The wind whispered secrets against the windows, stirring feelings long buried. The power flickered and vanished, engulfing the house in an oppressive darkness and leaving behind an unsettling silence that stirred something deep within. Michael had slipped into bed early, enveloped in a cocoon of longing and unspoken yearnings. He has always shied away from the chaos of storms. They stirred something deep within him, igniting a tumult of longing and unease. He whispered something about an early meeting, pressed a fleeting kiss to my cheek as if it were routine, and vanished into the shadows above. My daughter lay peacefully asleep, cocooned in her blankets, blissfully unaware of the tempest raging beyond the walls. Leon's appearance ignited a long-buried spark. I found him in the living room, lying on the couch and gazing at the ceiling as if he were adrift in a sea of contemplation. The only illumination came from sporadic flashes of lightning outside, momentarily revealing his features and creating shadows that danced with unspoken secrets. I was drawn to him by an inexplicable force, a magnetic force that I was unable to resist. Perhaps it was the shadows that beckoned. Perhaps it was the stillness that stirred something deep within. Perhaps it was the irresistible pull on my heart, bringing me closer to him for weeks, months, and even longer than I dared to admit. Yet, I found myself drawn to it. I was seated with my hands resting in my lap, gazing straight ahead, and feigning indifference to the warmth emanating from him beside me. And then his voice broke the silence. "Your heart feels heavy, doesn't it?" Perhaps I should have concealed the truth. Naturally, I should have expressed that. I could have brushed it aside, playfully dismissing his words as absurd. Yet, I found myself unable to do so. The words lingered in my throat, trapped by an overwhelming tide of longing. We both comprehended the hidden reality underlying them. I made a slight tilt of my head, just enough to catch his eyes in the shadows. His gaze lingered, brimming with an unspoken longing that stirred something deep within me. The sensation was exhilarating and filled me with intense desire. The sensation accelerated my heartbeat and caused me to gasp for breath. I started talking to Leon, but I became lost in the moment, unsure of what to say next. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to convey. I was meant to embrace it. The intensity of it all overwhelmed me in that moment. The scene was incredibly vivid. The atmosphere surrounding us crackled with an intensity that felt both thrilling and dangerous, charged with a longing that lingered just beneath the surface. And then, his fingers brushed against my skin. At first, it felt like a whisper in the shadows, a fleeting moment that barely registered, only the slightest touch of his fingers grazing my own. It was a fleeting caress. It was an insignificant caress. Yet, it held profound significance. It was all-consuming. I should have stepped back. I could have walked away, ascended the stairs, slipped under the covers beside my husband, and willed myself to disregard the reality that was unfolding before me. Yet, I remained still. I felt paralyzed. His fingers brushed against mine, lingering with a delicate hesitation, exploring the uncharted territory between us. My breath became trapped in my throat. The rhythm of my heart echoed loudly, drowning out everything else around me. The tempest unleashed its fury beyond the glass, the wind's mournful cries echoing through the night. Yet within, deep within, all remained silent. All was poised in anticipation. And then he drew closer. It unfolded gradually, uncertain. His lips were tantalizingly close, teasing me with the promise of a taste that was yet to come. And his breath lingered, a tantalizing warmth against my skin. I stood paralyzed, torn by the cacophony of voices within me urging me to flee, to put an end to this madness, while a deep, yearning part of my soul craved this moment with an intensity that felt almost unbearable. "Please, just tell me to stop, Mom," he said, confused and concerned. Sensing a change in the air neither of us could explain nor should explore. This was a heartfelt entreaty. I should have written a cautionary note. I should have been cautious. Oh, how I wish I had, yet I refrained. I tilted my face toward him, bridging the final gap that separated us. And then, there was a moment of emotional vulnerability that caught me off guard, one that blurred the lines of maternal closeness and made me question my emotional boundaries. It was raw and intense. It was anything but gentle. It was a moment of intense, aching intensity, the result of years of solitude and yearning, that culminated in a kiss that left me gasping for air. His hands cradled my face, fingers weaving through my hair, drawing me nearer, more intimately, as if he sensed the fragments of my soul and sought to mend them. I found myself again in the depths of longing. Utterly, completely, there was a closeness, an intensity that overwhelmed me, reminding me how deeply human the need to feel seen and heard can be, even when misplaced, and the warmth of his body enveloping me was so tangible and alive, a sensation that I had long desired in the depths of my soul. I tightly grasped him, relishing each moment, and was overpowered by the intoxicating sensation of finally, at long last, being desired. In that moment, I recoiled, breathless, my fingers instinctively pressing against my mouth, desperate to undo the reality of what had just transpired. The realization that I had crossed a line that I could never uncross caused my heart to race, my mind to whirl, and every fiber of my being to cry out. The rhythm of Leon's breath was tantalizing, and his expression was a mystery that stirred something deep within me. His gaze pierced through me. He started, "Mom," but I couldn't allow him to finish his sentence. The words hung in the air, a fragile promise that posed a threat to my resolve. I felt the weight of unspoken truths pressing down, knowing that to listen would unravel me completely. I rose to my feet, trembling, filled with a sense of uncertainty. I must leave, I gasped. In that fleeting moment, before his gaze could pierce through my defenses, before I could allow doubt to creep in, I spun away and ran. Sleep eluded me that night. I found myself unable to, as if I could contain the whirlwind of emotions within me. I secluded myself in my room, leaning against the door and embracing myself tightly. Yet, I found myself unable to do so. My lips were alive with the echo of that kiss. My skin was aflame from his caress, and my body quivered with lingering sensations. I ventured into uncharted territory, a realm I promised myself I would never enter. And now, in this moment, there is no turning back for me. What is the most agonizing part? I struggled to express it honestly. I found myself torn, uncertain if I truly desired to pursue it. I promised myself I would make it right. I believed I could reestablish the equilibrium. The decision was merely a fleeting lapse of reason. This was merely a fleeting moment. It was an error of the heart. I convinced myself that by pretending everything was normal, perhaps, just perhaps, it would slowly slip into the shadows of my mind. Yet, that was a deception. The following morning, as I descended the stairs, the sight of him at the kitchen table shattered my world once more. His gaze lifted as I stepped inside. In that fleeting moment, our gazes intertwined, igniting a spark that felt both exhilarating and perilous. And in an instant, it returned, igniting a fire long buried within. The intensity of longing is a powerful emotion. The intensity, it was a moment that forever changed us, a secret we can never erase. Silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken feelings. He felt no obligation to do so. His gaze was a silent testament to the unspoken longing that lingered between them. There was a faint hint of an unspoken longing. This was a longing that lingered in the shadows. Deep within me, a sensation ignited a tumult of emotions. I forced myself to follow the routine, to preserve the illusion of normalcy. I approached the coffee pot, pouring a cup, my attention drawn to the soothing sound of liquid cascading into the mug, as if it held the weight of my deepest yearnings. Yet, I sensed his gaze upon me, a silent intensity that stirred something deep within. The atmosphere surrounding us crackled with an intensity that was both thrilling and perilous. In that moment, Michael stepped into the room. In an instant, everything fell into alignment once more. Or at least, that was the expectation. "Good morning," he murmured, his eyes fixed on the screen, as he lost himself in the digital realm. Oblivious to my presence, he remained unchanged. Yet there was a stirring beneath the surface. Like a haunting echo of yesterday's, the morning unfolds with familiar shadows. Yet, for the first time, an unfamiliar sensation washed over me. For the first time, I was acutely aware of the tension in Leon's body as he sat in his chair. His gaze danced towards his father. The tension in his jaw and the subtle flex of his arms filled the air with an electric anticipation, as if he were preparing for an unspoken moment. It wasn't just me who had transformed. Leon had transformed in ways that stirred something deep within. He paused, a heartbeat stretching into eternity. As he brushed past, he was drawing closer, defying my expectations. Absolutely not. It was far more profound than that. He was observing me with an intensity that stirred something deep within. It seemed as though he had been waiting for this moment all along. He seemed to be pushing me to explore the depths of our mutual secret. I turned away from him. I felt forced to do so. Every second spent with him was filled with a thrilling risk, like balancing on the edge of a cliff, knowing that one wrong move could cause a terrible fall. I distanced myself from him at dinner. I averted my gaze from his when we conversed. I had been living in the same space for an extended period. Everything felt insignificant. He remained a constant presence in my heart, perpetually observing, forever yearning. And then, slowly but surely, he began to urge forward. A whisper began, gently stirring in the depths of my heart. As he passed by, a gentle touch remained on the small of my back, evoking a sense of yearning within me. The touch lingered just a heartbeat longer than it should have. We exchanged a brief glance that was both intense and mysterious. Unspoken longing charged the very air, enveloping me in a tension that was both constricting and overwhelming. Subsequently, there were those instances that caused me to gasp as I was enveloped in a whirlwind of yearning. His presence loomed near, an unspoken assertion whenever Michael was within reach. My husband's intense gaze met my cheek as he prepared to leave for the day. The tension in his body was palpable as Michael wrapped his arm around me, his fingers clenching into fists as if he were battling an inner turmoil that threatened to spill over. He had transformed, embodying a new essence that stirred something deep within. More guarded, I yearned for more. Possessive. Yet, I could have put an end to it all. I knew I should have brought it to a close. Yet, each time I attempted to mend the rift, each time I found the courage to make things right, he would perform an act, subtle and unassuming, that would send my determination crumbling to the ground. As he walked past me in the hallway, his breath was short. There's no need for masks in my presence. During dinner, he passed me the plate with a fleeting touch of his fingertips, sparking an unspoken connection between us. His thumb glided over my skin in a fleeting gesture that was so delicate that it went unnoticed by all those in our vicinity. Yet, I found myself drawn to it. Oh, how I truly did. His gaze ignites a spark. It is only a glance, yet it contained a myriad of unspoken truths, lingering in the shadows of our hearts. This feeling was destined to persist. It was blossoming, unfolding. I was growing deep within the uncharted territories of our connection, in the quiet moments, in the fleeting looks, and in the unspoken feelings. I found myself spiraling into chaos. There arrives a time when the gravity of your actions, once dismissed, envelops you in its haunting embrace. It's not in the fervor of the moment, nor in the lingering aftermath, but rather in the quiet stillness that follows, when the rush subsides and you find yourself alone with the haunting whispers of your mind. It was in the stillness of the night that everything changed for me. Reclining in solitude, gazing at the ceiling, I sensed the profound void of the unoccupied sheets beside me. Michael lay in peaceful slumber, his breaths deep and rhythmic, blissfully ignorant of the tempest of emotions swirling within me. I rolled onto my side, drawing myself inward and embracing my form as if I could contain the weight of my secrets within my grasp. My skin tingled with an unfamiliar warmth. My lips tingled with a newfound intensity. It felt as though they had vanished from my grasp. I felt as though someone had permanently inscribed a mark on me, one that I could never remove. What have I unleashed upon myself? I attempted to convince myself that it was merely an error in judgment. It was a moment of weakness. There was a brief lapse in resolve. Yet, beneath the surface, the truth lingered, undeniable and haunting. Each moment tugged at the heartstrings, reawakening long-buried feelings. It encompassed everything. It encapsulated the fleeting moments of intimacy. It is the electric caress that stirs the soul. From the moment it stirred within me, I knew I should have fled, yet I allowed it to envelop me. I had allowed it to flourish, allow it to linger, and now, I was engulfed by it. Do I embody something monstrous, or was I merely yearning to experience something profound? I yearned to convince myself it was the latter. It was never truly about him. It was a journey of self-exploration for me. I found myself reflecting on the years spent in solitude. I felt the hollow ache of a union that had faded into the mundane, devoid of its once vibrant passion. The yearning for intimacy, a bond that transcends boundaries, and an experience that feels profoundly authentic is overwhelming. I yearned to convince myself that my behavior was driven by a longing to be acknowledged, to feel the warmth of another, to be awakened to the reality of my existence. However, that didn't justify my actions. That didn't alter the truth that I had ventured into a realm from which there was no return. I buried my face in the pillow, tightly closing my eyes, yearning for the sweet escape of slumber. Yet slumber eluded me. All I could hear were the echoes of the past. I was left with the lingering memory of his lips brushing against mine, the heat of his breath enveloping me, and the way his hands cradled me as if I were a rare treasure, something he longed to keep close. I found a strange allure in it. I should have felt a wave of revulsion, a deep sense of sickness, a profound disgust for my being. Yet, I didn't feel that way. That was the most heart-wrenching part. I longed to believe I could simply wipe it away. I thought that by turning away from it and hiding it in the shadows of my heart, it would fade into nothingness. Yet, deep down, I understood the truth. I understood the intricate dance of hidden truths. They linger, haunting the edges of memory. They linger, unyielding. They linger. They linger, aching with unspoken longing. They consume you slowly, unraveling your very essence. And this was a truth I could never share with anyone. It was a truth I could never voice. Keep it hidden forever. Hold on tightly. Never let it fade away. I'm afraid that expressing it could give it life. And if it really existed, I would have to face the undeniable truth if I let myself fully admit what I had done. I had completely destroyed everything. An unexpected version of my former self emerged, and in that moment, the path ahead felt irrevocable. I can sense the thoughts swirling in your mind. I understand how the situation may come across. I understand the way it appears. Your silence conveys a powerful message, laden with the unsaid judgment of my confession, exerting pressure on the distance between us. Be assured, the depths of my self-criticism surpass your imagination. How I long to turn back time. I yearn to go back to a time when I was blissfully oblivious, when I believed that the shadows of longing and the ache of what could never be had not touched me. The woman, convinced she had explored the depths of her own being, anticipated she would stay unaffected and unwavering. Yet, I find myself unable to. I experienced it deeply. I embraced it. And despite my deepest longing to erase it, some things are simply irreversible. Can a person reach the verge of insanity in the midst of solitude? Can the absence of affection, the absence of tenderness, and the sense of being invisible gradually break a person, making them unfamiliar with their own reflection? Would you look down upon me? Do you truly grasp the depths of this feeling? I seek no absolution. I don't even seek comprehension. Yet, perhaps, there exists another soul who has experienced this longing as well. Perhaps there are those who understand the feeling of gazing into the mirror, only to confront a stranger staring back. A reflection that feels both familiar and hauntingly distant. The desire for an unreachable presence. A void that stirs deep inside, making you want something so badly that it drives you to do things you never thought possible. Perhaps you find yourself at this precipice, teetering on the brink of an inexplicable yearning, a force that pulls you in despite your better judgment. Or perhaps you've already succumbed. Share your thoughts with me. Share with me if you've ever experienced this profound void within. Have you ever felt an overwhelming longing that drew you into the shadows, where the thrill of the unknown beckoned you closer? Share your feelings in the comments. Consider subscribing to Shocking Infidelity Saga if you are in search of more intense, heartfelt stories like this. You can always uncover a hidden narrative. Loneliness can stir deep feelings within us. Loneliness infiltrates your heart, permeating the spaces you believed to be impenetrable. And abruptly, you find yourself engulfed in a vortex of yearning, and some moments leave an indelible mark on time. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this story. If it touched you, don't forget to like and subscribe to LeVy Stories. Your support means the world to me and encourages me to bring more impactful, real-life stories just like this one. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in the next video.